Okay, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on what time you're watching. So you'll remember when I did my continuous line drawings that there was one that I drew, this cup, which I really wasn't very happy with. Now I really struggle with ellipses. I always have done. It's one of those things in drawing that I find really tricky to capture and to capture accurately. So I really wanted to do this cup again. Now this is like hugely ambitious. So I think for you guys, if you're really confident, you might want to choose something like this. Maybe if you're not quite so confident, you could choose maybe one of the sweets that have a slightly more simpler shape. Anyway, so I've got my cup out in front of me. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to have a look at the shape of this cup and then start to get it mapped out onto our piece of paper. So as I've said, ellipses are really, really, really hard. Now what you're wanting to try and do, so if I look, I'm going to use my pencil here to get this line for the top of my cup. And my pencil angle comes in at something like that. So I'm going to start off by just marking that line in there. And I've got the curve on the bottom of my cup, and then the next curve, the next line of the base of my cup coming across the bottom here. I can see a little bit of the base of the cup just coming in here, and I can just add that in and wrap that round like so. I've got some nice crease lines that kind of come in across here, and this crease here touches the side of this lid around about there, so I can just get that marked in like so. And then the bit that I struggle with the most are the ellipses. So I'm gonna, now there's a numerous parts to this ellipse because the cup has the bit at the top with the hole in it that you drink out of, and then it's got another little bit that fits over the edge of the cup, and you've got to try and draw all those different layers in, and it isn't easy. It really isn't easy. Now you'll notice as well that this cup has like a surface texture on it. I'm not going to draw that surface texture in, this kind of wavy line surface texture. I think that's just going to be really, really, really hard to try and capture. So I'm going to block that part of the cup in more solid shading, which I know isn't strictly the right thing to do, but we're on a timed test here, so I think we can be a little bit, use our artistic license and not necessarily do as much detail as is on the actual object. So I've gone round, I've marked in my lips, I'm happy-ish with that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to identify some of the lighter and darker areas, get a feel for where things are on the cup, and start to add in a bit of shading. So I'm gonna draw now, and I just want you guys to just watch and start to look and see how I do this. Remember to keep your pencil marks really, really light, and you've got to check all the time. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to draw this incorrectly. That's absolutely fine. You can see now I'm already going back over this ellipse and just amending things that I know aren't quite right, okay? So I'm going to spend, maybe 10 or 15 minutes starting this drawing, giving you an idea about how that happens and what that looks like when you start to add the shading in. Okay, so I'm not going to do any more on this drawing because I don't think you need to see much more, but you get the general gist. Now this is nowhere near finished, and obviously there's much more toing and froing. On the top of the cup here, there's areas, especially around here, that are much darker than I've currently put them in, and I would just keep going back over those, and I'd keep working into them, making them darker until I'd got that nice tonal range. And it's not easy, and there is lots of backwards and forwards, and you should also have seen how I use my rubber a lot. So on those lighter areas, using my rubber to rub them back out again, round here, around these edges of the cup. But the important bit is trying to get that range of tones and making sure that you use your rubber and making sure that shape is accurate to start with.